Hey folks, I'm Rob with Two Guys on a Ride. Today we're out at the Chanhassen Autoplex, and this is Cars and Caves, and today it's Military Appreciation Day, and we're in this absolutely phenomenal looking garage. And with me is Bruce, and he's got several cars today, but in particular we're taking a look at this one. Bruce, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your cars.
My name is Bruce, and I focus on muscle cars, which you can see. And this particular car is very, very special to me. It's a 1969 GTO Judge, Ram Air 3 400 motor with 366 horsepower from the factory. Conveniently underrated, like GM and Ford were doing in the 60s and 70s to keep the insurance companies off their back. But the reason that this particular model is special to me is I owned a 1969 GTO, not a Judge, when I was in high school. Absolutely loved it and drove the wheels off, literally. And life happened in the intervening years and the GTO had to go. Bills to pay, kids to take care of, so the 69 GTO went. Years later, situation improved and I got a GTO back in my life, and that's this one. It is all original everything, other than the paint. It was repainted once, but everything else is original. And I just love this car. The GTO was the car that started muscle cars in 1964. General Motors thought they would make 5,000 GTOs. That would be about all that they would sell.
Right.
It was the first year of the GTO, and they put a big 389 V8, 3 deuces in it. And they thought, well, it's a gimmick, we'll sell 5,000 of them. They sold over 30,000 of them.
Wow.
And that started the muscle car wars.
And that was actually, what was it? It was the Tempest, right? Body style, but and it was actually a Tempest, and its trim level was that, is that right, was GTO?
That it was an option.
Okay, there you go.
And
so it wasn't its own full standing.
It became its own thing very shortly thereafter once they started moving.
Once they realized it's selling.
And then the sales just went through the roof. And the GTOs got bigger and faster and better. And the Judge, for your younger viewers, probably don't know about Laugh-In. Right, that is where the Judge name came from.
Here comes the Judge.
Here comes the Judge. And that's where it came from. And they made the Judges in 69, 70, and 71. And in fact, the 1971 GTO Judge is extremely rare. I believe they made 331 of them.
Wow.
They are extremely rare. If you find one of those, if you got one of those, hold on to it, or better yet, call me.
Right.
Call me, I can take it off your hands.
Now did all of the GTOs have the Ram Air?
No,
was that an option? Okay.
That was an option, but on the GTO, the Ram Air 3 was standard, and the Ram Air 4 was optional. The Ram Air 4 was essentially a race motor.
Okay.
This was a much more streetable motor.
Now, if you can see it, I know, Nathan, you'll get some pictures of it later, but that is actually a hood-mounted tachometer.
That's
now,
correct.
Was that standard, or was that an optional piece?
That, I believe, was optional for GTOs, but I believe it was standard on the Judges.
On the Judge trim.
And the Ram Air is actually functional.
Okay.
There is a control lever in the dash that you can open and close.
Okay.
So you can let that cool, fresh air in, or you can close it if you want to.
Give you a little bit more.
Give you a little more
that
cool, fresh air.
Horsepower that it's rated at.
Exactly. A little cool, fresh air is always good to make this baby go.
Now, this car, what are some particular things that actually drew you to this car, other than the fact that you had one in high school as far as a GTO, but this car, what was this, the color of the one you had in high school?
This was very close to the color of the one I had in high school.
Okay.
But what originally drew me to the GTO is, you see this bumper here, this is actually called Ventura.
Okay, thank you. I was trying to remember that a few minutes ago. What was that called? But it's like a...
It's a polyurethane rubberized bumper. I don't know a lot about chemistry, but I remember, and there were commercials where they had a guy with a baseball bat.
I remember that, yes.
Remember the commercial?
Yeah, and he hit the nose.
Pounding on this with a baseball bat, and would just
I'm not going to do that, by the way.
One of the things with this particular car is these bumpers often have cracks, chips, flaws, all kinds of issues.
Right.
So it's very difficult to get a replacement, very difficult to match it. So when I looked at this car, I looked at this bumper and it's flawless. And there just aren't many of them. When I bought this car, I bought it at an auction house.
Wow.
Huge auction, thousands of cars, and there were 69 GTOs that were there. I looked at all of them, and there were a couple that I did bid on that I didn't get. And you know what? I'm glad I didn't get them because this was the best of the bunch.
Is that right?
In my opinion.
You wore them down so you could get to this one.
Got to this one, and this was the best of the bunch.
So this one, I always loved this cutout into where they set into the bumper, and then they actually did this little cutout here.
One of the things, excuse me, one of the things that they did with the GTO, you'll notice on the wheel, there's no chrome beauty ring.
Right.
And that was a GTO thing. The rest of them had it. If you look at the 74 Trans Am Super Duty, you see that chrome beauty ring.
Right.
And that was more of a standard package with these Pontiac 5-spokes. And one of the things they did with the GTO to make it faster and more race-like was, we'll take these chrome beauty rings off it because we want it to be fast. So you get a couple pounds off.
Might have saved them 4 pounds back in the 70s. That was pure metal, so it was probably a pound a piece.
Exactly. So take those off. But that's something that's kind of interesting about GTOs is those aren't there, and you look at them and you think, well, what are these wheels right?
It looks a little like it's missing something.
It's a little different. So it's something that if you ask a GTO person, he knows that. He'll tell you that.
So that's a tell. If you see one at a car show and it's got a chrome ring there, you know that shouldn't be there.
It could be a clone or a tribute car, whatever they're calling it, or it could be somebody thought that they look nice and they put them on, even though they're not supposed to be there. I like the cars that I collect are muscle cars, and I like them to be correct and as close to stock and factory as I can. That's what I like.
That's what I like. That's what I like. Anything else on this car that really stands out to you that makes you smile and get a thrill every time you look at it?
Well, I love the color. This is the iconic Judge color.
Right.
This was the color they used in all their marketing. This was the color that grabbed people's attention. It's a look at me color. The other thing I really like about this car is when you start it up, it's got a great rumble to it.
Oh, fantastic. Well, this is it, folks. Absolutely beautiful. This is the Pontiac GTO, and this is the Judge trim level. Bruce, thank you so much for sharing your car, sharing your story, and just what brings you to this car. We absolutely love it. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
We certainly appreciate it so much.